Hello, and welcome to another video log. I'm actually going to start calling these, it's not like Aperture Speaks or something like this, because I think just calling me a video log every week is a bit strange, and I think it doesn't really work with the format. So today I'm editing my one of my tulips from actually it's the last tulip from the HDR shoot, and this one was a sort of a very special sort of image because it was one of the first ideas I had. The idea of this the head of the plant popping out of the image. And so I had to be very sort of I was being very sort of specific with the way I wanted to edit the image as well. So really, if you can actually see, like I actually raised the exposure up quite a bit to really get the really light tones on this particular image. But I'm really wanting the detail. And one of the things about this particular image, if you look at the head of the flower, is that the focus is right on this central part where we have inside of the flower. And what this means is that on the edge of the petals as they're coming in, they're actually out of focus. And then as you go back, the focus comes back in again, and then it drops back out again. So you get this sort of weird sort of effect. So in the HDR, I really pushed to keep the details in this, in the flower head. One thing that came up is a slight mismatch in the color. It's gone to a sort of a purple where everything else is red. So that was quite easy just to sort out. And that was just hue and saturation and quick layer mask, pretty much straightforward. Obviously, like I just did a rough layer masking just to try and work out roughly where the hue was, and then sort of filled it in a little bit, and that's how it sort of really worked. I don't know why that happened. This sort of was a bit strange. So I just deleted the layer mask there just because I had just got the right tone, and now I was going to use a softer brush just to come in and sort of merge it and blend it all back together again, really. And that's pretty much how it goes. So next I was going to do is do color effects, which is where I was going to tone the image. I was trying to think of how much saturation I wanted in the image, really. I didn't want it too saturated, but I wanted it enough for the colors to pop. I also wanted to be careful about what's in the background, because although it is out of focus, if the colors are very strong, it would destroy the way you're actually viewing it. So I would actually have shot this in the studio with Velvia. That's the color tones I usually like. So what I did was I really just went and lowered the opacity just a little bit for the moment. In color effects, you really build up slowly your colors, and I try and do as much as I can, like a sort of process that I understand in my head from editing. So the first thing I really want to do is work out the I did the colors first, is to put the light toning, so it's like levels, or in this case the high key, just to put that first and then have the coloring next. And this is where I'm just trying to get in details without. I want everything to sort of fade out to white, but have the central part very strong. But I don't want to do it with vignetting, because I don't want it to be too fake, because there was some vignetting in the HDR. And it's sort of just trying to find that balance, which is actually quite hard sometimes. Let's try and get it. I like using the detail extractor as well. Not too strong. I think once again, everything has to be sort of the lightest touch. I don't know if you notice, but actually what I do is I jump up to 100 all the time, and then I come back down. Here I'm using one of the control points just because I want the details to be extracted only on the flower, not on the stem or the leaves. So that's why I left it into the back, really. That's why I used the control point, just to leave it out, and everything else at the back could sort of drop out and have less detail because it's not really needed. And this is what I sort of was thinking. I thought I was using tonal contrast maybe. But then I did all my tonal contrast. I was actually thinking I did all my tonal contrasting anyway. So if I just do this, it's just adding more to it. The tonal contrast is quite good when you actually haven't done it already in the workflow. And I had done my tonal contrast when I converted to HDR. One of the things I was actually looking at was actually trying to find a way to adapt the Velvet tons. Although I added it at the beginning, this was just so I could see it in my, just to sort of see it as I was doing everything else, and then make slight adjustments later. So what I'm doing here is I'm just changing the opacity using control points again. So I'm just sort of making sure the radius is okay, make sure the amount of reduction is okay, and it's really just to separate it from the rest of the image. And as you can see here, it's just a little bit like masking. They can actually show the areas which have been selected when you highlight them. So now I'm done with that. I want to do now I'm done with the high key. I'm now going to try and do the same thing again. I'm just double checking where I put them all. And I'm now actually going to do it again with the velvet, just to reduce that saturation and color back down again, because it's not really needed. What it did do as well is actually it brought back out the detail of the what I was using for the vase, so that was quite nice. So an extra bonus as well. I think sometimes it's quite easy, especially in a plugin like this that's got OTT, and I think there's still some subtlety that you need to have. I've mentioned that before. I think it's one of the reasons I like a lot of images is that because the effect is subtle and it's natural. And when an effect isn't natural for me, I don't like it. It doesn't. It's on my brain goes, that doesn't work. It doesn't gel. And that's probably one of my criticisms of modern photography, really, and the use of technology in photography. Then again, on the other side, I know some people just don't like my images for the same for the reason that um, I don't Photoshop enough. That's one of the comments which has been made, that I should do this or I should do that just to sort of make it more. And I'm sort of thinking, well, there's no need. But then that's sort of the difference between um, different people's workflows and different people's tastes, really. And it really is down to a matter of taste. So I just had to remove some noise. I did on this time when I actually put it through HDR effects, I actually load the images first in the in-camera roll to reduce the noise, which I hadn't done before. HDR effects is the newer program I'm using for my HDR workflow, so it did reduce the noise quite a bit. I wasn't quite sure about the cropping here. I think 10:8 was the original sort of ratio I was going for, but I want to have a look around to see if maybe like a panoramic would work quite nicely, but it didn't. Maybe if actually I used the content aware with extreme panoramic. One of the other things actually when you're cropping is to actually turn the picture in different directions to see what it looks like as well. Where should I have the flower now? Should I crop out the top, crop out the bottom? I'll crop out the bottom. And it actually makes a lot more sense because you've got quite a leaf detail at the top. So it sort of keeps the image together. Actually, at the end there, I don't know if you saw, but I quickly did some hue and saturation. Again, on the leaves, just to bring them down to a different color. To give it a slightly more green than this sort of yellow that they had as well. And I used my dodging burning just to burn it in, just to make it a little bit darker, just to contrast against the flower itself. And that was it really. It's just a 3-layered image, quite simplistic, and nothing really too much, I don't think, in my personal opinion. And that's the final image. I hope you enjoyed it. I quite like the way it actually finally came out. It's one of the images that sat on my back catalog for ages. and so I really just need to get it done. So that's pretty much the end of the tulips I took. That's the end of that sort of base group of images. I'm working actually at the moment on a lot of photograms, because that's actually making quite a nice body of work. I have a studio. I should have a still life studio coming quite soon with a proper setup, so I can actually do a lot more lighting effects in camera before bringing it into Photoshop, which would be quite interesting as well. Apart from that, nothing much is going on really, and I hope you enjoyed the blog, and I hope to see you again. So if you remember, I'm on Twitter at Aperture64, I'm on Tumblr at Aperture64, and my blog is wordpress.com. It's not, it's at Aperture64. It's Aperture64.wordpress.com. You must remember what my blog is. Aperture64, wordpress.com. And I hope you can pop by next week. Bye bye.